Not too long ago, I had to walk outside to a car and to pick up something from the back of the car. And my coat was not on, and so naturally it was easy to feel the raindrops on the shoulders. And it has been really some time to feel that. And how it's like someone touching you ever so gently, somehow coming up behind you and tapping you on the shoulder, and somehow just to say hello and hi. But in this case, there were lots of little taps of saying hello and hi. And somehow it's like I wanted to turn around to see who was there. And naturally, there's no one there. And that is kind of like the sky saying hello from above. Yeah. And at times like this, it's easy not to look up. In times like this, it's very easy to put your head down and look at the ground and get from one shelter to the next. At times like this, it's very easy to run from one porch, from one building to the next, and not look up. It's very easy in times like this to miss someone that you knew 15 years ago, and because you were both looking down and both running to the next shelter and just crossing each other's path, and all you see are the shoes, and somehow you missed the point. And somehow it's like people are in severe pain or jumping in fire, running from porch to porch, from shelter to shelter, and somehow even hiding their eyes as not to be burnt by the drops, not to be burnt by the rain. I wonder why we do that. And yet the water, as we know, does not burn, but yet it does burn because it is somewhat cold. And yet the water somewhat burns because somehow it has a little chill, it has an effect, a little shocking mechanism attached to it that somehow makes our feet a little bit lighter, wanting to run from one shelter to the next very quickly with little drops of fire. And yet somehow that fire itself is actually, it's enough hydrogen that one little drop has so much energy in it. It has a life force of billions and billions of years of thinking and thought. It has such a life force that can literally make so many little things happy. And as well as giving camel water in a desert, what a happy camel that is. And it's just not getting and tapping water from a tap in a sink, or from a faucet, or from a garden hose, or even from a bottle. But sometimes out of your wild nature. And in Switzerland, you better do it when no one is looking. Open, look up, and receive a few drops into your mouth. And somehow learn to walk so as not to say that you are burning up, and almost to change your style of walk and your thinking under the rain. And then in time, because I know, and the rain will stop, but I know because it's Switzerland, the rain will come back. You know that you will have a different relationship with the sky. Every day is your day. Every day belongs to you. And whether it rains for 3 months straight or just a few hours, every day is yours. And then sometimes the best of all is when it is pouring down very, very hard and fast. A storm is here. Then it's nice to run from shelter to shelter and see how quick you can get there until the next shelter. Those are the times we can easily laugh. And it is literally those little things that really help our lives. They're not little silly things, they're little things that really somehow give us nourishment of our seriousness. Somehow they bring nourishment to the tragedies that take place on newspapers and the news broadcasts on televisions. And there are little tragedies that happen in a lot of villages and towns. For without that little sense of humor, somehow it's like no more rain coming, and somehow it's just nothing but heat, and pretty soon, one day we wonder what happened to the rain, and pretty soon the whole land can turn itself into a desert. And as it will, one day Switzerland will be a desert too. And one day it will also be at the bottom of an ocean. Then one day it will rise up and be a forest again. As continents do, and continents have, and they will continue to rise and fall. And we find ourselves with new names, new cultures, new flags, new roads, different styles, new philosophies, different ideas. Some generations we call ourselves the desert people, and some generations we call ourselves the people of the woods. In other generations we call ourselves people of the valley, and in other generations we call ourselves people that wander, the nomads. In other generations we call ourselves the farmers, the people who stay put. And in other generations we call ourselves the adventurers, the people who seek the light and stars, and the people who seek the light of the little reflections of the little ones, the insects. And yet we find ourselves like the people in Switzerland. These are the people of the woods, the people of the mountains. And this is your time now. Do not let yourself be desensitized just because you live here. And actually, according to the world, you literally live in a postcard. And you do the postcard well in full living color. And learn to see what this country is through the eyes of a tourist. Learn to see what this country is through the eyes of a person who comes from Egypt, from Morocco. Learn to see what this country is through the eyes of a person from even China and even America. And that in itself will really bring what this reality is that you live in, this beautiful postcard that it is. And not just with cowbells, but church bells. postcard. I find myself buying many postcards in Switzerland, but I never send them. They have to come here. Postcard doesn't really work. You ready to work? I'm getting ready to work. Straighten up your backs. This is not a lecture. This is not a speech. For to lecture and to give a speech, it's a different matter. And how words can easily be misconstrued, how words can easily be misinterpreted, how words can easily be reflected to the west and sometimes to the southeast, how easy we can just sit there and not listen. You do, huh? There was a time when I remembered, and there was a time when I thought, and there was a time when I saw you, and there was a time I understood. And there was a time I witnessed it, and there was a time I planted it. And there was a time I seeked it, and there was a time I forgot it. There was a time that I do not remember. There was a time I tried to make it. There was a time I sung it. There was a time I wondered. And sometimes it comes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and sometimes 3. And sometimes it will not come until you close your eyes and you have to count to 10. And sometimes it comes from behind, and sometimes it comes from above. And sometimes one has to wait for decades. Sometimes one has to wonder so much that the wondering, you could say, manifests itself into something that is like stone. And pretty soon, there it is in front of you, standing in front of you. But the wondering has been with you for so very long, you can't even see it, for you believe in the wondering and not what it stands in front of you. The predicament of all human beings. But we tend to believe and fight for an idea, a concept inside. And how easily we take and translate this outside to protect our frontiers, our borders, our country, our family, and even our property. And yet sometimes an idea becomes so strong that one can no longer really see or want to see what stands in front of you. This is where the sense of humor comes in. For to be serious, we have to be extremely serious in this world. And when you can, and like a guardian and like a warrior that stands on a hill and just waits, and one can jump in, one can run down, so a little humor can cross your path. And yet, most of the time, not much is done, not much is said. And yet, most of the day, not much really takes place. And so the person sitting in the chair, trying to add things up, trying to make the sentences work, somehow calling the voice of logic, somehow calling great reason to come. And sometimes we even have a voice to call, come, comfortableness, come, comfortableness, make me comfortable once again. Sometimes deep inside our bellies, it starts to turn. Somehow something is gnawing on us. Something is truly tearing something out inside, not knowing what it is, whether to scream or yell. And sometimes we do it quietly inside, hoping that no one else sees. Oh, what a complex creatures we are. And sometimes things just seem to work out. And sometimes things somehow seem impossible to make things happen or work. And yet all along I found my meaning for this and found my meaning for that. But in a certain length of time, even the meanings somehow don't even work anymore. But the beautiful thing is that we can go back home, and there is our home or our flat. We still have the keys to our cars and our purses and in our pants. We most of us know our phone numbers and even our addresses. And somehow we know how to walk out of this building quite easily and comfortably. And some of us, we have a cook some soup that is ready for us when we get home, the bread ready to be cut. And somehow a few more minutes have elapsed in our life. So the student of life throughout the day trying to put it all together. We have realized that sometimes a life can be very, very short by a simple phone call. A wake-up call from one's mother or sometimes even a friend. Sometimes it's just a conversation and sometimes it is not. And sometimes we find ourselves being tapped so many times by the rain above. And sometimes that question all of a sudden seems to be running towards us, even though the rain comes down. And sometimes it's a matter of an alchemy and a little dance of the drums, of the tip-taps, of the pitter-patter of the raindrops on the earth over there. And after you start to hear it, all of a sudden an answer easily starts to approach that you have been searching for so very long. And as you know, I don't readily give you answers. That is not my job. It is the job for the encyclopedia and dictionaries. That is their job. And facts are beautiful. I love facts, and thousands and thousands and thousands of facts I have in my head. Not just of country, but of the insect world and the homes of trees. All the facts about how many nests will rest in a tree and about how many families of insects will actually can live in a tree. All these beautiful facts. And how easy it is to throw out a fact or two and to tantalize our mind. And so the lecturer, and let's say the speaker, and let's say the person who speaks to you, comes to you and speaks to you very differently. And somehow the mind has a difficult time grasping or understanding. And sometimes it somehow makes sense. But pay attention. Pay attention. Sometimes we go high into the head and sometimes we go down deep into the belly. And sometimes we go right into the heart. Pay attention. Close your eyes. These sounds are in everybody. Everybody. Whether you're mad and angry, screaming and yelling, whether you're in conversation sitting across the table, whether you're just thinking, these sounds are in everybody. Forever silent, forever humming, forever vibrating through your bones and all throughout your body. And sometimes we get a little lonely and we take a meditation course, and sometimes it just happens where we start to hear something inside that is somehow like the sounds of a church or someone singing, where the sounds are deep and has a ricochet effect inside. And then sometimes the mind will say, how can that be so? Being who I am and how I think of me and how I think of others and the way people are, how can that be so? I have not suffered enough, I have not prayed enough, I am not good enough. Maybe I just don't listen enough. Close your eyes. Open up your eyes. Sometimes it is someone singing on stage, and sometimes in a particular church, and sometimes it just seems to come out of nowhere, these sounds. And the mind can say, where does this come from? How can it be so? I've not been on my knees enough. I have lied too much. My mind has been blank. I criticize too much. How can this be so? I'm a businessman. I'm a businesswoman. How can this be so? I'm only 12 years of age. How can this be so? Close your eyes. Open up your eyes. It is very close to how the earth hums, actually. It's very close. The humming of the earth is very, very loud, like this hum that takes place inside your own bones. In all creatures, this hum is there. And how this hum radiates out even above the earth and somehow seems to fly as high as it can away from the earth. And yet somehow we can say we are of the earth, but we're not, for this is really not your home. For we all nothing but guests here. And yet we have something that we can say that it is of the earth. And whether we just give up back our bones or whether we just turn it into ash, we still have that hum. And like a song that it is, a particular hum like it is like a note of a guitar or violin or even a piano. We come here to get that one more note. For this earth is but medicine unto itself. It has a most unique medicine unto itself. And been given this one life, learn to get from this medicine of this earth, and not just the medicine of plants, and not just the medicine of laughter and joy, but the medicine that our feet always walk on. And not just learn the music of gypsies, and not just learn the music of the Russians. For they all come down into this one very basic hum emanating from this earth. And in this short period of time of ours, it is a hum. You could call it from the mother, you call it from a piece of ground. But it is a note that forever is strung. Close your eyes. You. Open up your eyes. Like a musician, I can hear those notes quite easily. And people that know nothing of music, it sounds like just one piece of music, and it's not. It's like a meditator, a contemplator who tunes in to that silence inside. It is like that business person who does not tune in but tunes out there to tune in how to make more products or money. And it's like that child who tunes in to play how to find another stick, another stone, another friend to play with. And it's like that young person to find another person to dance with. And when the student of life lives long enough and realizes and has all the music of all the world in your living room, whether they be of CD or tape, or whether they be written on paper and just notes, or whether you just fancy yourself to go to concerts and hear it in live, one wonders, what is the song of this earth? And what is it hum? Everybody. Open up your eyes. I need some water. Hi, Auntie. And to wait for the next word. And how uncomfortable it is to wait. And to wait for the next reflection. And how long that can take. And to wait for the next movement to somehow give me some stimulation in my brain, stimulate my nervous system. Is that what we really wait for? Is that really what it is to wait for? To pull that string, to play that note, to hit that key, to throw vibrations at me with your mouth, to stimulate those neurons inside that head. Is that really what it's all about? So the student of life finally realizes you can no longer fool me, life. You can no longer fool me with that predicament, that web that you have webbed so cleverly. You put suns in the sky, moons in the sky. You even put starlights in the sky and twinkle at night. You even put reflections on an open sea and even in lakes. I've seen all those reflections, thousands of reflections of sunlight bouncing off, somehow giving me a Morse code, somehow sending me messages, telling me what? And the student of life begins to understand the great web of it all. A master spider, how you have webbed it all so cleverly and so beautifully. Yes. It is not to wait. And somehow it is not just to sit, it is just not to run, it's just not to play, it is just not to work, and it's just not to think. It is just not to find oneself in avoidance, to find oneself in silence. Somehow it's not even blinking the eye, and somehow it's not eating, nor sleeping, nor resting. I got you, Creator, I got you, Master Weaver. I see. And no clock could ever work anymore. No more timepiece can continue all the tick-tocks that have ever happened. No waiting for that one drop to be released from that cloud and see how long it takes to hit the earth. No more waiting for birthdays. No waiting for the phone call, but how beautiful they are when they come. It is just not turning the page, opening up the book. It's not putting the book down either. And Master Weaver, I see what you've done. It's not hoping for that song to finish anymore, or even waiting for it to start. It is not finding a mountain of good reasons, nor even meanings anymore. It is not even letting myself be hungry and let myself suffer of no food. It's not even letting myself suffer of loneliness and not making those phone calls that I should. It's not even feeling sorry for myself or finding some wonderful thing to laugh with. And Master Weaver, I see what you've done. And when the silence comes in between the words, and the silence comes in between an act, I will ride you like a surfer, and I will walk it out quite easily. And when you pull that string and release those words from your mouth, I will take it in and vibrate all the vowels and all the nouns and all the adjectives. And I will write that word as best as I can and take off in imagination and in thought. And I will mix it with reason and logic. And I will mix it with all my experiences that I can. And sometimes I will smile and nod, yes, I understand. And sometimes I will put a blankness in my eye and say, I do not know what the hell you're talking about. But I got you now. It is not up and it's not down. It's not above and it's not left and it's not right. It's not even before I was conceived. It's not even after I will pass away. It's not up north and it's not to the south. It is even not at the end of an answer, and it's not even the beginning of logic. So where to look, the student of life says. So where do I stand? Where do I place myself? And the student of life understands. And the student of life with those eyes that somehow always seems to follow the nose. And the student of life with those ears that somehow always stand as guard, like big guards of the eyes, one to the left and one to the right. And that student of life with that backbone and that spinal cord like a tree, upside down, standing upright, somehow backing us up. And that student of life feeling those legs somehow with the weight of one's body holding oneself up. And the student of life, it is not speaking to myself. It's not speaking to my ears. And the student of life realizes it's not even looking out anymore. It is not in and it's not out. It's not within and it's not external either. I finally got you, Weaver. And yet there you were all along. You were not a wall as I thought. You were not that face as I thought. You were not that color as I thought. You were not that gun as I thought. You were not that piece of pad, of pencil and paper as I thought. You were not that slap. You were not that voice as I thought. You were not that tree growing out there as I thought. You were not even that silence as I thought. You were not that skipping when I was little as I thought. You were not that game as I thought either. You were not that answer as I thought. You were not even that hope as I thought. You weren't even that imagination as I thought. You weren't even that tear that I thought. And the student of life very quietly surrenders to gravity. Take a break. First of all, some questions. Anything concerning last night, or questions that you have come up with here? Some people have asked if they could ask some questions, and so please ask. Anything about policemen or the times that you've been in jail, how that was, you're going to talk about that. Some of us, yeah. Or what about your spiritual development, or your mental development, or your undeveloped mental development? Yeah. Or about, yeah. Yes.
I come now 8 years
Yeah.
to workshop,
Yeah.
and I'm at the moment so discouraged. I just think
Yes. After only coming from 8 years, that's not too long. It is because, especially in your case, you came, unlike a lot of people, they come to practically any given lecture or movement or whatever. They generally come with what they are preoccupied with, what their philosophy is, and they don't think about what is it that this person is saying, because we get so used to conversation out there in the world, and understanding and dealing with it, and sure, I understand, we work it out, and we come across something that we're supposed to understand in one day, in one workshop, in 4 days, and all of a sudden we realize, wait a minute, it doesn't work that way. And actually, it's not quite 8 years. It really isn't. It's actually, if you count the 4 days, and that's 4 days a year, actually, if you just come once. If you come twice, that's possibly, actually, it's not even 4 days, because 1 day is a fire dance, 2 days is our fire dance, and 2 days of speaking lectures or really getting into it. Okay? So you only got about 2 days, actually. So if you go to a seminar twice a year, that's 4 days a year. That is not too, So we have literally shrunk 365 days minus 4. That doesn't look too good. And then you add times 8. Okay. So the perception of years versus the reality of the time actually put in, there's a difference. A very, very big difference. Okay. And ironically, I remember I said the same thing to a teacher. I didn't say it to the teacher, I said it to myself in my head. Okay. And because I put a lot of invested time into it, and I couldn't understand hardly a word this teacher was saying. And when I put the years, like you, 8 years, 8 years, and and then I actually did the reality, did the math. Okay? Went back and really did the math, and actually, when you really do the math, and you want it, let's break it down even more. Okay. And it's not even 2 days. If we really break it down and look at it, the workshops back then were supposed to start at 10. They didn't start to about 11 or 11:30. They went on for about 2 hours, and there was an hour or two break. Then they came back for another hour or two. So you actually maybe have 4 hours. So we're going to even make it even look worse than it was. So here you have only 4 hours. Maybe 8 hours in a given workshop. Okay? So that's literally comprises of 8 hours in one given workshop, and You got 2 workshops in a given year. That's 16 hours out of the whole year. So instead of 365 days a year, minus 16 hours, ooh. Nasty. That's nasty. It's better to think. To make ourselves feel better, just say 8 years. Makes one feel a lot better, huh? 8 years, huh? Isn't that nice? Feels really good, doesn't it? And that's the reality. When you really do the math, that's the reality. Because to really get in there and be involved and to break it down, minute by minute, hour by hour, and day by day, you begin to see what is the real investment of yourself in it. And when I saw this with this teacher that I was in, and I broke it down, it was extremely discouraging. Extremely discouraging. Because my pride was hurt. I really invested time, and my pride was literally hurt. I didn't want to see breaking it down into hours. I broke it down into years, and to really surrender to that wasn't so nice. It's not nice on the feelings, on the emotional body. It's difficult to take in. And then one truly has to really ask, 365 days a year, how many minutes do I devote to being the student of life and going for a walk with it, a true walk with this process? A human being puts in many years just waiting in line, actually. Years are literally devoted to waiting in line. Movie houses, coming in here, waiting for someone who's in the toilet, waiting to get a drink of water, waiting to get a ticket, waiting to get a parking ticket, waiting to pay your parking ticket, waiting to buy your blouse, your shoes, waiting for the light to turn green, waiting for that phone call. Years. Us human beings have devoted. We have to wait years in line waiting. Years. But we don't think much on that. Where's the investment in that? We just easily do it. We just easily mark it off. It is taking off from your life. It is literally taken off from the essence of your life, people. It has. Then one says, how many minutes, how many hours have I devoted to eating? Mucho. Mucho, especially Europeans. And you count that, you have years invested into just eating. Years. Americans, they eat twice you and eat twice as fast. You, just the opposite. You eat nice small portions, but you take a long time to eat it. And you have all this massive investment in it. Years of this in it. Years. Then let's count something that has taken a lot of your life. A lot of the essence of your life. A lot of daylight from you. A lot of learning and laughter and running, sleeping. Practically half your life has been taken away. Hey, I am 60 years old. No, you're not. You are actually 30 years old. 30 of it was sleeping. You have been waiting in line that long. And how many years have you been driving the car? Or in the bus? Or in the back seat? Okay, let's add all this up and let's see where these 8 years are. Okay, You are, let's say, somewhere around maybe 30, 35 years of age. Half of it you got to mark off has been due to sleeping. Then you got these years of waiting in line. You're a European, so therefore you got quite a few years of eating. You have waited, I know, quite a long time, I don't know, maybe a year or two, just waiting to go into a particular building, movie house, the toilet, etc. Huh? So how many years have you really devoted to waking up, being enlightened, becoming more aware, having more consciousness, actually? The numbers aren't so nice. That's why I don't like math. It's horrible to look at the reality of it. Difficult. But that's the reality of all human beings. And it's extremely discouraging once you see the numbers. Oh. I remember I had this hardbound pad, and I got some legal size lawyer yellow paper just with lines on it. And man, I did the math. I really worked out and did the math to see exactly where I am and what I thought versus really what is. And it was so discouraging. And I thought I was just so bright. I thought I was just so wonderful. And I thought I had years. I thought I had most of my life devoted to this process. And I realized there was very, very little time in it. My perception. So the numbers indicated what the reality is. And quite easily, if I hadn't done the numbers, I could have easily continued on. And that's what most people naturally do, and they just call it 8 years without doing the math. And then, to even complicate the whole situation, we have the back of the mind gnawing on us, oh, you haven't done this, or you need to do that. Then we have this mind gnawing on us, oh my God, there's something in there I know I got to do, there's something I can't quite remember. And then there could be a little anxiety, a little thought here, or the stomach's a little bit hungry, or you have too much coffee in you, and you got the jitters and everything. And all of a sudden you got a little itch over here, and all of a sudden, you got to just move around a little bit. How many seconds is that taking away from your life? A lot. An awful lot. Somebody puts out a particular tone or a note that somehow you don't like, and it gets irritated, or you don't want to sit next to this person because you don't like people like that, or all of a sudden you got this big head in front of you, and you know that your luck is bad, and oh my God, I'm bad, and pretty soon your mind is turning around inside, and you're listening, and you're trying to be spiritual in this particular workshop, and all this stuff is going on, and the numbers are still there. Then the student of life, once the numbers, once the facts are on the table, the student of life says, oh my God, there is a very big predicament here that people do not address. There's a very big predicament here that people easily fool themselves with facts, figures, more color, meanings, symbols. Because somehow when that part of your brain lights up with the, oh yeah, I feel it, oh yeah, I got it, oh yeah, I got that, I understand it, oh yes, oh, that's what that means, oh, I've got this understanding. It makes the body feel good. All it does, it puts out a serotonin effect where all of a sudden we feel elated, we feel wonderful, we feel accomplished. But what about the numbers? What about these facts? And then a reality all of a sudden comes to that person. Because in typical life, we can think about what it is to pass away. Intellectually, we understand it. Intellectually, oh yeah, everybody goes. Oh yeah, things happen. Oh yeah, so what? Until it literally comes into your world. And pretty soon, all those years devoted, waiting and lying, and all those years devoted to driving that car, and all those years sleeping, all of a sudden, none of it makes sense. Because when the guru comes, and that person has literally passed away in front of you, when the guru comes, no Swiss clock works anymore. No American clock, no Mexican clock, no Indian clock works anymore. When the guru comes, all of a sudden, no books seem to make sense. Not even tears or laughter or whatever. And it's very much like one falling asleep. When the guru comes, it literally opens up the top of your head. Literally opens it up. Everyone involved emotionally. And all of a sudden, one starts to become very, very quiet. Not much to say anymore. Almost stunned, almost kicked in the head, almost kicked in the back, almost like being in shock, almost like being in a car accident and being a little bewildered. All of a sudden, things don't work anymore. All of a sudden, can't quite act the same way anymore, can't quite speak the same way anymore. All of a sudden, time seems to have turned itself into water. All of a sudden, the feeling somehow we can't quite control anymore, and yet we do try to control it, do try to hold ourselves. And we know something outside our control. That's not business. That is not business, and is not a typical day. Has erupted, has literally forced itself into your life. And all those years that you devoted into those 8 years of the spiritualisms, all of a sudden nothing works, nothing makes sense. And then what are you going to do with it? Then the student of life starts to say, okay. Predicament, and I know there isn't a word for predicament in German. You need to say it out loud because there's a way to describe predicament. It's not a dilemma, it's a predicament. It's a word that the Germans should have. It's a very, very good word. Once you begin to realize that this massive predicament exists, it is a predicament of time and space and mind. Time, space, mind, perception. Time, space, mind, perception, sound. Time, space, mind, perception, sound, emotions. Time, space, sound, perception, mind, feelings, and sound. So the student of life starts to put down all, you could say, the books, all the meanings and all the thoughts. There's not much you can do but go and wait in line again. There's not much you can do but open up that car door again. There's not much you can do but open up that envelope again and pay that bill. There's not much you can do but go ahead and get up and do it again today, but do it differently. Because you see, there isn't really that much time in anybody's life. It isn't that you live 90 years, you got to cut that in half. That's how long you have really lived. And if you want to cut that down, Let's cut that down. Let's cut down. Let's see how long you have really, really lived. Let's take 90 years. That's a good round number. Cut out half. You got 45 years now that you have lived. Now, let's find out how much you have really lived in those 45 years. All those times that you had, let's say, kind of numbed out, kind of like, let's say, you weren't there. How many years do you think that would be? Mucho. Mucho, mucho. For some of us, quite a few years. For some of us, many years. All those times that we had to just go open up a door. Just open up that door. Were you present? Were you really present? Were you fully conscious opening up that door? Were you fully conscious walking through that door? Were you fully conscious sitting down? Were you fully conscious when you made that movement? Were you fully conscious there with each step? Were you fully conscious there watching your mind go from thought to thought to thought to thought to thought? Were you fully conscious there every day that you had lived in those 45 years? Were you? And what about the times when all of a sudden you were very, very mad and very angry or in rage or somehow just nodded out? How many years is devoted to that? In reality, animals and insects are not devoted to these things, to these little time frames. Human beings are devoted to these time frames of waiting and lying and not knowing it, and just letting it go, letting the time go and let it be past. But how easily we claim, I lived 90 years. Well, okay, if we count, let's see, you waited in line, you weren't present, you had all these years of not being fully conscious, you're European, you're eating, and how long? What's it going to really come down to at the end? Fully conscious. Fully. In my case, I realized I was more conscious sitting on the toilet than I was in almost any place else. I'm telling you the truth. Because I did a survey on myself, and that's where I was the most conscious, sitting on the toilet. So, when the student of life stops fooling themselves with time and space and comes to terms with time and space for what it is, not what you think it is, for it is the conditioning. It is conditioning of all cultures. It is the conditioning that does not point out these facts. It is the conditioning of most cultures that somehow encompasses all the times we have been numbed out, unconscious, little conscious, very much conscious, really conscious, very numb, a little numb, extremely numb, nodded out, gone away, totally lost in dreams or hopelessness. How long have you lived? Really? So the student of life says, okay, I got to get really, really smart quick. Real quick here. With time and space. With time and space and mind and time and space and mind and motions, with time and space and mind and motions and perception, with time and space and minds and motions and perceptions and hearing, with time and space and minds, emotions and hearings, and my little dog. And that means it's a different way to think. You have to really start to think very differently. and not just to the left and not just to the right, and not just really what is heavenly and not just really what is of hell. Because all this says that there is a situation that somehow we have all, like say, fallen asleep into. And then to seek consciousness itself that is a continuous stream. It is a stream that is so continuous that the eye, whether it is closed or shut, or whether the eye is asleep or not, the stream is always there. Are we really designed just to sleep and wake up? Are we really designed just for only so much daylight and so much night? And in reality, yes. That's why we're here. There are worlds where you could say there are 3 or 4 suns, 24 hours a day. No night whatsoever. No darkness whatsoever. Why do you think we're here? It is you could say, our capacity to only handle so much light. It is our capacity to only handle so much energy. It is our capacity to handle so much stimulus. It is only our capacity to handle so much love, so much kindness. We can't really handle all that much. It is our capacity to only work for so long. It is our capacity to only think for so long before we have to nod away, go away, turn our head, be distracted. It is when the human being truly becomes that scientist, and not just of culture, and not just of a species, but ask outside that species, ask outside that culture. Why is it that I am on a planet that shifts from day to night? When I know that mind does not sleep, whether it is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and there's no moon up, I know that mind does not sleep. It is really all but my body that sleeps. Is that what it is too? I pass away and I'm going to have to take my pillow with me so I can have a nice sleep on my pillow? Is that really what it is? Is true consciousness, is that what it is to sleep 8 hours a day and then try and wake up at least some degree? Or is it to learn to ride that continuous stream? So the student of life starts to ask the real questions of the predicament, not just of a species, but the predicament of an environment that has already been set up. The home already established. The gravity already there to hold you down. And there's literally only a few minutes, a few hours of real good quality hours, maybe just a good few days of good quality days that we can literally spend full 100% into understanding why. And when the student of life says, no more waiting in line, no more, I understand you, no more. Am I going to wait in line anymore? And the student of life, because the student of life does understand, I will wait for the toilet, I will wait to buy that ticket for the movie, but I am waiting with a different stance. I am waiting with a different intent. I am waiting with a different understanding. Not to rob me any more of my life, not to rob me any more of my precious minutes, not to rob me any more of my precious years of my life. It is my life. And so I speak to you, time, whoever invented you, and I speak to you, space, whoever invented you. I am going to be in you. I am going to live in you. And yet, that student of life is speaking to the element of water, earth, and fire, space, and infinity. That student of life is now starting to speak to one's bones, one's muscle system, one's tendons, and all the organs that you have. That student of life is speaking to all the primals, of even the dinosaurs, even the Neanderthals. In essence, speaking to all those primal brains that we have in our head. And that student of life is finally speaking to that present, to the cerebrum brain, to that higher brain that somehow is brighter. But somehow I need my feet and I need my hands. Somehow I need that spinal cord that is backing me up. It's not to cut my hair. It's not to put on a robe. It's not to run off to another country. For here I stand, waiting in line, but no more can you rob me of my life. Every cell in your body, the billions of cells, they start to take a different note. Pretty soon there's a different tone, whether it be a guitar or piano, or a humming from the depths of your legs. And in time, the brightness will start to emanate out of your eyes a little bit more. And in time, brightness will start to emanate even out of your skin. Pretty soon, even though no matter what your weight, somehow you have a lighter walk. And somehow, no matter how much stimulus or how fast you have to work, somehow you're working slower and yet doing a better job. So, student of life, I'm not going to pay attention to you, birthday candles. You have fooled me too much. And yet I will celebrate the birthday candles for the calendar year. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have given me a reference point. Thank you. And now I understand what waiting is all about, waiting for that one word to come out. No longer fearing gaps, no longer fearing silence, no longer fearing forgetting, no longer fearing wondering or lack of. And the student of life have called not just the heavens, but the student of life have called the dimensions. And like all beings, a song they are. And like all beings, they are a piece of music unto themselves. A music like no one other. So the student of life invites the lines to come. The student of life now that they understand, they invite the red lights and the green lights and the yellow lights. The student in life invites the doors that are open and closed. The student in life invites the books that are open and closed too. For there's no such thing as waiting. Now I understand. For it's impossible to be bored. Now I understand. For there's literally no such thing. For there's really nothing but time filled with time and space. Now with consciousness and life. You fight for your life. You fight the numbness. You fight the drama. You fight the neuroses. You fight for your life. You fight the boredom. You fight the waiting. You fight for your life. It is your life. You decide whether to claim that moment. You decide whether to claim that gap. You decide. And no enemy that comes into this village and takes you away, no enemy can rob you of your life anymore, whether they imprison you or even no enemy can. No illness can rob you of your life, no disappointment, no one's anger, no one's ignorance can anymore. And when the tension shows up, when a little anxiety shows its face, put on your skis, get your surfboard, get your sports car, and ride it. But with a smile, if you can. And the student of life says, I see you, I see you. I see the beautiful web that you have designed, not for punishment, not for crime, but I see the love and the tenderness and care that you have given me a life, and you have given me plenty of time to wait in line. You've given me plenty of time to dream all the dreams I wanted to dream. You have given me plenty of time to eat. You have given me plenty of time to hurry as fast as I can. I have seen you now, dreamer of webs. You have tied the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. You have literally tied me in knots, in love and in kindness, and yet I thought I was alone. And I have seen you, dreamer, how relentlessly you make the dream continue, whether it be day or night, or whether it is rain or storm. I see you're always touching me on my shoulder, whether it be a raindrop or snowdrop or someone's tapping me. You have always been on my shoulder and never left your touch. And that is where the angels rest, is really on your shoulders. And sometimes they go away and sometimes they come back. A little touch, a little tap. And don't forget to look up. And the student of life bows down to all the rain and even the dust that gently falls and taps on our shoulders, never to forget no more. For all is life. And the student of life realizes it is not how many birthday candles are on your cake. It is your moment. And all it takes is but a moment. It is your moment. In essence, it is your life. Good night.